is CGTN, China Global Television Network. Live from London, this is The World Today.
Hello, I'm Jamie Owen. Welcome to the programme. Our top stories: at least 40 people have been killed and scores of others injured after what local police say was a suicide bombing at a political gathering in Pakistan. Our other headlines: the latest Russian missile strikes on Ukraine see 3 people killed after another night of sustained bombardments. Russia's president vows to build 30 new warships this year as he attends the annual Navy Day parade in St. Petersburg. And protests in Niger, supporters of the military coup gather outside the French embassy as France suspends aid to the country. At least 40 people have been killed and over 130 injured when an explosion tore through a political rally in Pakistan. The local police say there is evidence that a suicide bombing caused this blast, which took place at a gathering of the conservative Jamiat Ulema Islam Fazl Party, known for its links to hardline political Islam. Well, let's talk to our correspondent Daniel Khan, who's watching events for us. Daniel, what more do we know?
Well, so far, according to the latest reports, 45 people have been killed and over 200 people have been injured. And according to the authorities, more than 400 to 500 people were present at this convention, which was taking place at the Bajor agency that borders Afghanistan when this suicide bomb blast took place. And now 45 people have been confirmed killed, according to the health authorities of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province.
Daniel, for those who, unlike you, are not veteran Pakistan politics watchers, just give us some significance of give us an idea of this event and the wider political landscape in Pakistan at the moment.
Well, 2023 marks the election year for Pakistan, and political parties such as the JUIF, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and all the other political parties, including PPP, have started taking out their political rallies to gather their voters. And this gathering was the same event of the elections, and more than 400, 500 people were there. And we also know that one of the chiefs of the JUIF has also been killed. But we also know that there were threats for these election rallies quite imminent over the last 2 or 3 months, because such attacks have been taking place in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, targeting political leadership as well as the Pakistan Armed Forces. So the situation is quite volatile at this point in time, and also today is quite significant for Pakistan, because this marks 2023 marks the 10 years anniversary of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and the deputy, the vice premier of China, has just landed in Pakistan. At the same time, Pakistan is experiencing a nosedive in its economy, with its foreign reserves left at only a little more than $4 billion. So this has been quite a big setback for the political landscape in Pakistan.
Daniel, as you'd expect, calls from across the political divide for calm, but presumably there will be concern that this event will incite further violence.
Yes, because people in Pakistan are already suffering a great deal. Inflation is at its highest of over 35%. People are unable to afford a good livelihood. At the same time, the security situation is getting worse and worse by the day. Here in the federal capital, Islamabad, street crime is also on the rise, and the masses that are quite poor here in Pakistan, they're becoming quite desperate. So there has also been a fear of a civil kind of an unrest in Pakistan since the last 1 year, since former Prime Minister Imran Khan he stepped down as Prime Minister. So there is a lot of uncertainty amongst the people of Pakistan, as well as the foreign investors who have invested quite a lot of money in Pakistan.
Daniel, thank you for that. We'll come back to you during the coming hours. But for the moment, our thanks to our correspondent Daniel Khan with that breaking news from Pakistan. In the latest Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, 3 people have lost their lives. In the city of Zaporizhzhia, a man and a woman died in an explosion close to the city's railway line. At least 1 other person was injured by the force of the blast, which blew out windows in a nearby supermarket and apartment blocks. In the city of Sumy, 1 person was killed and 5 injured in strikes late on Saturday. Ukraine says over 80 explosions were recorded across the Sumy region, which came under attack from rocket launchers and mortar fire. Well, let's talk now to our correspondent, Dasha Chernyshova in Moscow. Dasha, Ukraine also been accused of carrying out drone attacks on Russia, this time on an office building in Moscow. What more do we know?
Well, that's right. Russia's Minister of Defense has confirmed that Ukraine has tried to carry out what Moscow describes as an act of terrorism, launching an attack by 3 drones against the Russian capital. 1 drone has been hit in the air by the air defense systems of Moscow, and it crashed in the area of the Odentsovo region in Moscow region. Another 2 have been jammed by electronic warfare. The debris have fallen in the area of the Moscow city. This is a vibrant area where many people are present on the working days, because many corporations and even offices of several ministries have their offices there. So certainly the casualties could have been significantly more should that have been a working day, not just the weekend. We understand that only 1 man got injured and no significant casualties have been reported. But also we have seen that 2 towers of the Moscow city have seen their windows shattered. So certainly this is yet another attack against the Russian capital by the Ukrainian drones. And the 3rd one just this week. The first one took place on the 24th of July, where drones have been hit in the area close to the headquarters of Russia's Ministry of Defense. Yet another one was thwarted, according to the Moscow mayor Sergei Sobyanin, on the 28th. And during the course of July, this is already the 4th attack. And before that, we have seen yet more attacks, including against the Kremlin, the residence of the Russian president. So certainly we understand Russian officials have been beefing up the security measures around the Russian capital, but they also have been saying that the frequency of those Ukrainian attacks have certainly increased, and Moscow is now taking all the precautions to make sure that those drones are being intercepted well in advance.
And Russia claims it has intercepted a Ukrainian drone attack on Crimea.
That's right. Yet another attack on the Crimean Peninsula. We understand that this time there have been 25 drones involved into this attack, with a significant amount of them, 16 being destroyed by the air defense system and 9 being jammed by the electronic warfare. They have not reached the target that have been designated, and they fell down in the equatorial of the Black Sea near the Tarkan Khud. So we understand that this attack that has been thwarted. But again, earlier this week, we have already seen attacks by the Ukrainian drones, including the one that was attempting to hit the ammunition depot. There several detonations have been heard there, and traffic has been halted around the Tavrida highway. So certainly we have heard Kiev insisting that they are going to continue striking Crimea, Crimean Bridge, and saying that that was one of the targets. And Moscow has been also saying that they will continue to take measures to make sure that the Crimean Bridge and Crimean Peninsula are well protected by the Russian defense system. But again, We are seeing those attacks. They are taking place, and this has given for the Russian officials to maintain that they have to achieve the goals of their so-called special military operation in Ukraine to make sure that these attacks do not happen again.
Dasha, thank you for that. Our correspondent Dasha Chernyshova in Moscow. Well, Russia's president has announced a boost to his country's naval fleet after inspecting the troops at the annual Navy Day celebrations in St. Petersburg. Around 3,000 military personnel took part. Putin, who was joined by several African leaders, praised what he called the brave crews of ships and submarines and said he plans to add 30 new warships to his fleet this year. Well, let's talk to our correspondent Leon Senyange in St. Petersburg. Leon, what more has President Putin been saying?
Well, President Vladimir Putin commended his Navy and the sailors for their resilience and determination in protecting Russia and its outposts. But of course, the big announcement, like you say, was the addition of 30 vessels of different classes to the already existing more than 290 vessels in the Russian Navy. Now these vessels are cast out in different areas, in different waters, in the northern Baltic, the Pacific and, well, Caspian, but also the Black Sea. And specific to the Black Sea, President Vladimir Putin made no specific mention of that special military operation that is being conducted by the Russian Navy in the Black Sea. But what we know is that last week, the Navy conducted a fire exercise in that area. That, of course, in preparation for any vessels that could be heading towards the Ukrainian ports. The Russian Ministry of Defense says that those could be considered military targets or carriers of military wear. So this, of course, comes at a time, or the parade itself comes at a time when the warfare now, or the conflict is being taken to the waters, and specifically the Black Sea, but still an exhibition that shows Russia's might on the waters.
Leon, thank you for that. Our correspondent Leon Senyange in St. Petersburg. France has cut off financial support to Niger and has called for the president to be returned to power after the military coup. The move from Niger's former colonial power comes as coup leaders warned against any armed intervention and urged their supporters to protest against outside interference. Meanwhile, West African leaders from the ECOWAS grouping called for the reinstatement of the president and imposed financial and travel sanctions following an emergency summit in neighbouring Nigeria. The European Union has also suspended aid to Niger, which is one of the poorest countries in the world.
We're particularly concerned about the financial barriers, because in our experience, when there's a coup in a country, the financial institutions either refuse to help or they compromise little on the way they help the country financially. So we believe this could happen to our country. What we want is for the situation to be restored as quickly as possible. That's really our concern.
All externally funded projects will come to a halt. Development projects financed by the EU, World Bank, IMF and others will be halted. Budgetary aid given to Niger will be stopped. I don't know how much it could be, but I'm trying to believe that if we take measure of the situation, we, the people of Niger and the leaders, can take advantage of this situation and leave with our heads held high.
You're watching CGTN. Still ahead, a league of their own, the grassroots football tournament, making superstars of ordinary people with millions of spectators tuning in.
Ever wondered what's the difference between a bear and a bull market? Where are the cash cows? And who are the lame ducks? And what exactly are black swans, grey rhinos, and unicorn companies? Make sense of it all with Global Business, only on CGTN.
There's a new agenda for a new world, accelerating change in almost every part of our lives. It's shifting the norms of how we work, travel, and connect. How we think, interact, and develop. It's a new reality, a new agenda with me, Juliette Mann.
Events have consequences. Words create impact.
One more offensive in a long line of battles that's been ongoing for more.
Just got to be careful here with some gunshots. Excuse us.
The world today matters for your world tomorrow.
The number of casualties is growing quickly.
Why, this is one of the hardest hit towns in the region.
The world today, every day on CGTN.
Hello, welcome back. A reminder of our top stories. At least 40 people have been killed and scores of others injured after what the local police say was a suicide bombing at a political gathering in Pakistan. Our other headlines: in the latest Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, 3 people are killed after another night of sustained bombardments. In protests in Niger, supporters of the military coup gather outside the French embassy as France suspends aid to the country. Football, and there have been a few surprises and a few tears at the Women's World Cup. Colombia won a stunning 2-1 victory over Germany. The South Americans put on a determined performance, handing the German team their first defeat in a group stage since 1995. Colombia are now at the top of Group H. They play Morocco next. Norway have made it through to the knockout stages after thrashing the Philippines 6-0. The victory included a hat-trick from Sophie Hogg, giving the team their first goals of the tournament. The Philippines are now out after finishing bottom of their group. Co-hosts New Zealand are also out after a 0-0 draw against Switzerland. It's the first time a host country has exited in the group stage, but the support of the home crowd wasn't enough to pull them through. Switzerland finished at the top of Group A. They play either Spain or Japan next. And Morocco claimed their first ever victory at the Women's World Cup with a 1-0 win over South Korea. The North African team are 55 places below their rivals in the women's rankings, but made an early breakthrough with a goal in the 6th minute. South Korea are now in danger as they head into their next match against Germany. Well, the Brazilian women's team suffered a defeat to France on Saturday, but their very presence at this Women's World Cup is inspiring teams back home. Players who take part in the Street Child World Cup, a unique event held and in the same country as the Men's World Cup, have lifted the trophy for Brazil 3 times. CGTN's correspondent Lucrecia Franco reports.
Located at the top of one of Rio de Janeiro's most dangerous hillside favelas, Complexo da Penha, this football pitch provides a safe haven for a team of street-connected girls. Here they have been practicing for the Street Child World Cup, an international tournament they have already won in Brazil, Russia and Qatar, ahead of the Men's World Cup contests. The initiative aims to champion the rights of children. Drica Santos, Brazil's team project coordinator, who grew up as a street child herself, is now using the Women's World Cup to inspire the girls.
Despite losing to France today, we are still excited and dream that the Brazilian national team will lift the trophy, and this will be so important for us and for all the Brazilian women.
Enrolled with Street Child United Brazil, an NGO which offers them a chance to play and a reason to stay away from drug gangs and violence, they are now having a lot more fun. Before their regular practice on Saturday, they borrowed a TV to root for Brazil as it took on France at their humble headquarters here in the favela. France's 2-1 victory over the Brazilians was not what they were expecting, but it didn't dampen their spirits. Ana Carolina Pereira, a 17-year-old favela resident who is also playing in the minor league of Rio de Janeiro's América Football Club, wants to reach the women's top team.
We are always hoping to wear the yellow jersey to be in the World Cup or in the Olympics. It is my dream, and I am working hard to achieve that goal.
The project is now preparing these girls for the next Street World Cup in 2026. But for now, their hearts and minds are somewhere else. And guess where? According to the United Nations, there are as many as 150 million street children in the world. But through football projects such as this one, and with the Women's World Cup in full swing, the road to a better future seems closer than ever. Lucrecia Franco, CGTN, Rio de Janeiro.
Now, this is an unexpected sporting hit that's bringing in fans from across the country, China's Village Super League. I think they're quite excited. Anyway, it's created sporting superstars out of ordinary people, butchers, carpenters, farmers and chefs by day, becoming football stars by night with millions of new fans. Our correspondent Li Jiaming reports.
On weekends, he is a football star, making plays for his team, cheered by tens of thousands of fans. After the final whistle, he takes off the jersey and puts on an apron, working in a barbecue shop.
I work from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m., more than 20 days a month. It doesn't conflict with my football playing. It starts in the evening. 8 to 9 hours of sleep is enough for me.
21-year-old Yang Zhengwei, who grew up in a local village, fell in love with football in middle school. He's due to graduate from a vocational school in a year. Learning from scratch, his football talent soon began to shine. And as he led his team to win provincial titles, his skills became locally recognized. Although he didn't dribble through the test that could make him a potential professional, he now has as many loyal fans as some professionals. The football tournaments in his village, known as Tunchao, have attracted as many as 60,000 spectators, double that of the average spectatorship of the Chinese Super League, the top games of China's professional football.
It is like a childhood dream come true. We can show our football talent in front of our countrymen and enjoy the atmosphere of this beautiful game.
Like him, many of his teammates are young villagers who just love football. Sometimes they have to multitask, helping family with farm work.
After quite a drought, rain fell in recent days, so I went to my family home in the countryside to help to plant the rice.
Zheng Wei's father didn't support him at first, worrying that football would hamper his schoolwork. But soon, he became a cheerleader.
In the past 2 years, he has become more independent, barely asking us for an allowance. He understands our hardships and never asks for any favor if he can manage.
What happens on the pitch is influencing what is off it. For Zheng Wei's fellow players, football is more than a game. It is a bond and a form of education.
Football is just like my teacher. I was quite an introvert. As we play football, we have more communication. I have become more outgoing.
In Guizhou, the stage of Tunchao makes people believe that grassroots players can also become superstars. In front of the barbecue flame, Yang Zhengwei is also striking hard towards the goal of his life. Li Jiaming, CGTN, Guizhou.
So just how big is the Football League and why has it gained so much popularity? Well, the games attract millions of enthusiastic fans, both pitchside and online. May's tournament saw 2.5 million spectators watch the matches in person. Rongjiang County in southwest China's Guizhou province, which plays host to this tournament, has seen its tourism revenue boosted by nearly $400 million. And the league is fast becoming a countrywide phenomenon too. In May, 20 teams registered to compete, while 276 teams have already signed up to play in next month's tournament, with matches to be held right across China. Well, Xiaolin Chen is a distinguished economist at Crane Shares by day and a bit of a footy fan in her spare time.
The economic impact to this league has been so significant, from boosting the hotel occupancies to sales of local souvenirs and food and other tourism-related business. I think the league has also created jobs for local people, both in the organization of the league itself and in the business that has benefited from the increased tourism. The league obviously has also helped to raise the profile of the region, making it more attractive destination for investments and developments. This is a clear example of how sports can be used to boost the economy of the region. The league has brought much needed tourism and investment to southwest China, and it has created jobs, obviously, for local people. The league is clearly a win-win for both the region and the sport of football.
And I totally get why sports fans are excited about this, but I mean, how does this event specifically contribute in a demonstrable way to economic growth and development?
Clearly, the job creation, the side business of the tourism, hotel, restaurants, and I heard all the local jobs that are created. And also now people are thinking this tournaments can attract more professional players, increase the quality of the league, can attract more sponsors to the league. Therefore, you know, it can be boosting the, like I said, the profiles to locals, and also attracts more other, you know, side of the business for the local regions to attract more tourism to the city.
As an economist, what are the economic multipliers that an event like Village Super League has on the region? And how does it lead to long-term sustainable growth and long-term developments?
Clearly, as the tournament progress to become more professional, and also other, you know, activities to come and associated with the tournaments, we're going to have seen more increased amount of people to come and visit the cities. Not only these cities, also other cities in the village area in China. As a result, we will see domestic economic tourism and different line of visiting or different line of tourism start to pick up as a business for this city, southwest, you know, city in southwest China. We're going to see a pickup in other cities in China. I remember last time there's another city in China that get really, really famous, attract a lot of tourism to go to the city because they have a very nice barbecue in the city. I think this is another classic example as the Chinese domestic consumers finding a way for them to feel more comfortable at their doorstep, which doesn't require them, you know, to travel very far, to still be able to reunite with their families, but also to benefit and then take an experience of Chinese thousands of years of culture locally as a tourist spot.
The headlines again. At least 40 people have now lost their lives and scores injured after what local police say was a suicide bombing at a political gathering in Pakistan. Our other headlines: in the latest Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, 3 people have died after another night of sustained bombardment. And protests in Niger, supporters of the military coup gather outside the French embassy as France suspends aid to the country. And that is the world today. Thank you for watching. More news at the top of this hour. Coming up next, it's Razor. For now, from the news team in London, it's goodbye.